Morning, everybody. I think we'll get started if everyone wants to take a seat. Welcome. Thanks for sticking around. This is the 4th annual general meeting of the Chartered Professional Accountants of Prince Edward Island. And at this time, I would like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Abitibi-Mi'kmaq First Nation. I'm Lisa Underhay, Chair of the Board of CPA Prince Edward Island. With us today are some/many of the board members who have served on the board during the past year. Please stand when I call your name. Doug Ezard, Secretary Treasurer. Becky Chason, Executive Member. Rodney Payne, Executive Member. Dave Arsenault. Denise Lewis-Fleming is not here, so don't stand, Denise. Amy McFarland, of course. Dennis Carver. Kate O'Brien. Sharon O'Halloran. Kent Thompson. And our public representative is Sean Murphy. Thank you all for your service. So everyone should have received a copy of the meeting agenda out front and your AGM booklet. Firstly then, I'd like to have a motion that the agenda for September 24th, 2019 annual general meeting of the Chartered Professional Accountants of Prince Edward Island be approved as presented. For recording purposes and for the entire meeting, please raise your hand and state your full name when you make a motion and second it. So can I have this motion? All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion passed. Now can we have a motion that the minutes from the September 13th, 2018 annual general meeting be approved as circulated? And a seconder. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion passed. The AGM report that you received this morning summarizes work done by the board and staff for 2018-2019. I'd like to present my highlights from the year. The year just ending marks the end of my term as chair. Thank you again to the board of directors and members of CPA Prince Edward Island for endorsing my service in this role. It's been a wonderful opportunity to be involved with my esteemed board colleagues and the staff of CPAPEI in helping to further initiatives which support the profession of accountancy and PEI. Important undertakings of the past year will allow us to better protect the public and support and educate our 760 active members and students. These include such things as development of a strategic work plan for the association, supporting the work of our Regulatory Advisory Committee in facilitating necessary changes to the Chartered Professional Accountants and Public Accounting Act, which Tanya will speak about later. The conclusion of a 2-year term as organizational secretariat for the 5 Atlantic regional CPA bodies known as the Atlantic Regional Forum. And with the other provincial bodies, we commenced the challenge of renewing the Collaboration Accord, which defines the governance structure of our profession in Canada. And thanks in particular to Becky Chason, Vice Chair, CPAPEI, for her involvement on behalf of CPAPEI in that important work. We've also completed our first comprehensive member survey and are embarking on a research project which will help ensure that we continue to give visibility to the interests of our members and certify CPAs with the skills that employers require. Leadership of the profession involves working with various ad hoc and standing committees, both locally and nationally, advocacy with government, with our education partners, and the business community. In the past year, these activities involved participating in the Chamber of Commerce Partnership for Growth, facilitating a session with CRA on their services and processes, teaming with the Canadian Bar Association and Law Society of PEI on an overview of PEI's Lobbyist Registration Act, continuing active stewardship of the legislated rights and obligations of public practitioners in PEI, and the regulation of members. Thanks to you, Tanya O'Brien, CEO, for your efforts on these initiatives and all your tireless work on behalf of our members and the public. CPAPEI supports the recruitment and education of new CPAs in the province at every opportunity, from hosting a presentation for candidates in the Core 1 program to holding a social gathering at the MAC Theatre to celebrate our candidates' successes in the Common Final Examination. At our June 7th convocation ceremony this year, we welcomed 22 new members and an additional 3 graduates who will be accepted into membership upon completion of practical experience. Close to 90 Prince Edward Island students are currently enrolled in the CPA education programs. These new members will create careers in workplaces that demand unprecedented adaptability, as we've discussed already this morning, and continuous learning. The landscape of traditional accounting is transforming our work, not our profession. We will continue to be the professionals that are known for holding ourselves up with ethical standards and codes of conduct that foster the highest level of trust from the public, whose interests we are obligated to put above our own. At the convocation ceremony this year, we also inducted 3 deserving members as Fellows of the Chartered Professional Accountants, Daniel Bartlett, Blair Dunn, and Jane McAdam. Congratulations again to these outstanding individuals. We strive to ensure that our members have access to many valuable professional development opportunities. Last fall, in addition to offering an impressive slate of education seminars here in PEI, we helped to offer the One National CPA Conference in Halifax. It was a great success for our region. I want to thank each of our board and committee members for their ongoing service in support of all the initiatives of the organization. It's through the continuing commitment of these volunteers that our many stakeholders are served and our duty to the public is fulfilled. Thanks to each of you for giving your time in support of CPAPEI. I encourage all CPAs to consider becoming involved with the association through volunteering on a committee, on the board, or as a financial literacy presenter. As Prince Edward Island's economy surges forward and the need for the unique skills of CPAs is growing. Encourage employers and young people to recognize the enduring value of the CPA designation, and contact the CPAPEI office to see what opportunities are available for you to engage more broadly with your profession. So thank you again for this opportunity. During the year, 2 of our valued members passed away, Carol Connick and Richard Corkum. So please join me now in a minute of silence in remembrance of these 2 members. Thank you. I would now call upon Doug Eazard, Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, to present the financial statements for the year ended March 31st, 2019, the budget for the year ended March 31st, 2020, and the appointment of auditors.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome, everybody. We are still CPAs, and we love numbers. Got to admit it, so I'm sure there's some that are excited about this part of the meeting. Maybe not. I don't know if you can be excited about the audit report. The statements, by the way, are in your annual report, the back half of the report. The audit report, for those of you in public practice, certainly you know this quite well. Those of you that are in government or private may not realize. You're probably looking at this and going, 2 pages? When I started a long time ago now, might have taken up about half a page, the audit report and the opinion. And what they've done, they've lengthened it, of course, as they continually do. They've moved the opinion finally from the end of the report to the very start of the report. So the first thing you see on the audit report is the opinion right at the get-go, which is a clean opinion, as I mentioned on the slide here. And then it goes through the basis for the opinion and all the responsibilities. So of course, what we need to know and want to know is that it is a clean opinion this year. Dated August 22nd, 2019, which is the date that the board approved the statements. So just quickly, some highlights. Statement of financial position, cash, $443,810, up compared to the year before, $390. The primary reason there, as it says, is about $60,000 in members' fees paying during the last week of March. You see that on the unearned revenue line, so the deferred revenue for next year's fees is quite a bit higher, 74 compared to 26 the year before. It's the online payments that are primarily doing that. Excuse me. We've gone to PayPal, as you probably know, and online payments, and it's really generating the money coming in quicker and in advance. Accounts receivable, also mentioned here, there's a couple of components here that's the reason why it's down from 99 to 55. The Atlantic Regional Forum, ARF, was a big highlight of 2018, so the receivable there is quite small, $8,000. Practice inspection is also down this year, $30,000. So those two are contributing to the decrease. HST is in a receivable position this year compared to payable the year before. And the rest of the items there are pretty minor. So total assets, $507,357. Payables and accruals are also down, primarily again because of ARF and practice inspection, sitting at $47,000. And I already mentioned the unearned revenue at $74,537. So the unrestricted net assets at the end of March 31st, 2019, $384.24. The year before was $379, so we're actually up $847, which we'll see in the statement of operations. So at $384.24, we do still fall within the investment policy of CPAPEI, which is to have an unrestricted net asset balance between $370,000 and $450,000. We're at the low end of that, but as you can see, we basically just held our own this year. Moving on to the statement of operations. On your report there, the budget and then the 2 fiscal years, of course, you can see the provincial fees quite close compared to budget, $246,071. The CPA Canada fees, they go in at $204,940, then they come right back off again as they're distributed to national. So after those fees are sent back, $268,066, it's almost identical to budget, less than $200 difference. Self-funded activities, $113,343. We'll see the detail of that when we get to the note. But again, just under budget there, about $4,000. The 2 items mentioned on the slide there is the interest income is up. There's been some more look at investing the money a little wiser to get a little more return there, and that's happened at $29.13. And also the other income, so the one was sponsored, the National One Conference was sponsored during the year, and the sponsorships from that were $12,400, so both higher than budget and certainly higher than the year before. Total revenue, $406,105, and then on through the expenses, ARF again was down from budget as the meetings did not occur that were budgeted to occur. One thing you see there on the credit card discount fee is up quite significantly compared to budget. The budget was $7, the actual expenditures was $12,217. PayPal fees represented about $5,000 of that, and again, just the uptake has been quite heavy on that. We have broken out discipline and investigation. That's legal costs, but they do specifically relate to discipline. So rather than have those included in the professional fees line itself, that was broken out this year, but it really wasn't budgeted as a separate line item. It will be down in professional fees. Wages came in at $188.39, so that was higher than budget as a result of HR committee recommended changes that happened during the year. And you see one line item there, third last one, strategic plan. It was budgeted at $3,500. We quite significantly exceeded that, 15,826. Much more comprehensive process that the board went through with that plan. And there's some other elements in there, including it says there's a survey was conducted. So all those costs total 15,826. And then self-funded activities, professional development was down on the cost, although the revenue held very close. And I already mentioned practice inspection fees were down a little bit. So total expenses 405,258 versus a budget of 397, and the income from operations $847. So we were positive, but barely. Any questions too? Certainly entertain as we look at these reports. I'm going to skip the cash flow. I don't need to go through a cash flow with a crowd of CPAs here. Nor do I really need to go through the notes. Accounting policies, but no change during the year for accounting policies. And the related party, you can read that at your leisure. Self-funded activities, I will just highlight the professional development, 81,582. So as I said, the revenue was up, and the expenses were actually down 55,768. So on a net basis, the self-funded activities generated 25,230, which was, well, the budget was 14,500, budgeted on a net basis, so up about $10,000. Both versus the budget in the year before. So although we overspent or spent more than budget on the strategic plan, a lot of that cost was recovered with the self-funded activities. So I will, unless there's further questions, I'll motion that the financial statements of CPAPEI for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2019 be approved. Looking for a seconder. Okay, I saw Cleve's hand first. We'll go Cleve Myers. Leanne? All in favor? Aye. Contrary? Approved. And then you're probably not going to see it real good on the screen there, but you have it in your annual report, which is the budget for 2019-20. First line item would be the provincial fees at $277,530. So that's based on, and the budget was done several months ago and board approved many months ago, as we're halfway through the year now. But based on membership fees of $490 provincially versus $470 the year before. You may recall we didn't increase them last year. The national component increased last year, so the provincial fees have held steady for 2 years. This year the national fee isn't moving. You can see at the bottom we're in a bit of a deficit budget situation, so we did increase the fee from $470 to $490, which is certainly the low in the Maritimes. I know that for a fact, and the lowest in Canada. So we are still the lowest in Canada. I think New Brunswick is second lowest, but they are a little bit higher than us. The national fees, $202, and as is the case, obviously, on the actual statements, they come off. So total revenue budget, $397,880. Practice inspection budget to be down a little bit. I guess that's the next significant item. Oh, sorry, PD in there at $80,000. The actual was $81,582, so budgeting relatively the same amount there. So $399,780 on the revenue side. $406,000 on the expense side. One new line item that's on there is strategic initiatives. So we spent that money last year doing the strategic plan. Many tasks and opportunities came out of that plan. So we budgeted $10,000 to carry out some of those activities during the year. We just don't have the budget room to do them all, so the board will decide and pick and choose which ones will be the focus and the priorities. Overall, we think the cost of that will be $10,000. Credit card discount fees, $10,500, slightly lower than what was actual last year, but significantly higher than the year before budget. Legal and audit, that includes the discipline. We've still got that one line item on the budget, $9,500. Practice inspection, of course, $27,000 in and out. Professional development, we're hoping the expenses stay close to what last year's was at $55,000, so we're still looking for about a $25,000 net revenue item there. And wages at $188,000, of course, the most significant item there, which is cost of living increase over the actual last year. So we are budgeting a deficit of $6220. We wanted to be realistic. We didn't want to either raise dues anymore, of course, or lowball the expenses. So we think that's a realistic budget. If we do come in at that deficit of $6220, based on the ending net assets of March 31st, 2019, we'd have ending net assets next year of $374,204. The goal of the board, of course, is to still be higher and within that net asset policy, and the low end of that is 370. So we hope, obviously, we're not going to have a deficit at the end of the year, but if we do, we still should be okay as far as what we've got in unrestricted net assets. Any questions on the budget? Okay, if not, I will motion that the budget for CPAPEI for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2020 be approved. Looking for a seconder. Okay. That, Leanne? Okay. All in favor? Contrary? And I will make a third motion that BDO be appointed as auditor of CPAPEI for the fiscal year end March 31st, 2020. They are the existing auditors. They've been auditors for at least 3 years now. So that will continue. If wait, what did? Oh, sorry. Yeah, it did go out for tender, and they were successful. Successful bid. So I'll motion that. Looking for a seconder on that. On. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Contrary? Wonderful.
Thank you, Doug. Ryan Pinault chaired our nominating committee. Ryan's unable to be with us this morning, so I'm going to call on committee member Lane Pinault to come forward in a second and present the report of the nominating committee as circulated in advance of the meeting. While we're waiting for Lane, I'd like to take this opportunity, though, to thank 3 board members for the service as they're not returning to the board. The first is Kate O'Brien. Wave. Kate served for many years on the Legacy CA board for PEI before joining the CPAPEI board when it was formed in 2015, and serving on the CPAPEI board since that time. Secondly, Sharon O'Halloran, who joined the board in 2016 and had to resign earlier this year for health reasons. And Kent Thompson, wave, has completed his 2-year term on the board. During this time, he was chair of the Marketing and Member Services Committee. I think we can recognize, all of us can, that without individuals like these and their commitment to the profession would not be where it is today. So please join me in thanking Kate, Sharon, and Kent for their time and commitment to the board. And I'd like Kent and Kate to please come forward so that we can present you with a gift of appreciation for your time and dedication.
We're going to send you packing, is what we like to say.
So, Lane, are you behind the post there?
Good morning, everyone. Everyone should have a copy of the report that was circulated on September the 19th. So items to note from that report include that there were 3 positions to fill this year. So we are putting forward the following members to fill those positions, and a bio of those individuals was available on the CPAPEI website. So the nominees are Kristen Dunsford, Amy McQuillan, and Luke Rolich. So as you could see in the report, we are proposing the following executive for this year. The chair, Becky Chasson, past chair, Lisa Underhay, secretary treasurer, Doug Izard, and committee member, Rodney Payne. I'd like to make a motion that the nominating committee report be accepted and that the officers and members of the 2019-2020 board be declared elected. So can I call for someone to make that motion? All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Lane, and to the nominating committee, other members Sherry Ross and Ryan Pinault for that report. So now moving on to other business, I'm going to invite Tanya O'Brien to present an overview of the proposed governance changes.
This is the really exciting part of the meeting, I'm sure. Before I get into the changes being proposed, I'd like to review the process we used to get to these changes. I think somebody alluded earlier this morning to the Regulatory Affairs Committee, and that was set up in the fall of 2017, and it consisted of Mike Fitzpatrick, Travis Gallant, George Mason, Scott Ryan, and Lisa Underhay. And that committee was tasked with reviewing the issues that sort of have come out over time with regard to the governance here in PEI. And they consulted with the committees of CPAPEI to ensure the changes to the governance that they were proposing addressed the correct issues. We then had a lawyer review the changes to determine if they could be made through changes to regulation versus legislation. Changes to regulation are a lot easier for us to make. Changes to legislation require the government taking a revised, taking that revision to the House as opposed to regulations, which I think they can do in-house. We did research then into how other jurisdictions handle the issues and how their governance addresses the issues. We have had some discussions with government onto the process to make the changes, and then we prepared a package which outlined the changes, and we sent that package to government, which included background information and the wording from the other jurisdictions. So this information was all posted to our website in May of 2019 for membership to review. We didn't actually get any comments back from the membership, so I'm not really sure if all the membership saw the information or if they did not, and that's why we decided that we would use this time today to create some awareness with members as to the changes that we are proposing to government. Oh, shoot. Sorry. So basically, there are 5 changes that we're asking government to make to our regulations, and these will enable us to operate more efficiently. The first one is to be able to recognize foreign-trained applicants. So currently, the way our governance is written, the only way to come to membership is if you pass the CPAPEI. And the way the profession is set up, we do have a national committee which analyzes designations in other countries. And what they do is they set, through agreements with those countries, parameters for those with other designations to be recognized in Canada. So there are some other designations that can come into Canada and would be considered to be the equivalent of the CPA designation, but currently they cannot become a member in PEI because they have not written the CPAPEI. So even though nationally we would say, yes, they have the equivalent of a CPA, if they actually move to PEI, and with all the immigration to PEI, we would have to say to them, you'll have to go to another province, become a member in another province, and then transfer your membership here. So that's not really efficient for people applying for membership. So we'd like to have this change made so that we can have a better process for those that are recognized by these international agreements, but are applying for membership in PEI. So that's what number 1 would address. Number 2 is to be able to have differentiated categories of licensing. So we actually had a presentation to members in public practice in July of 2017, and we outlined for them what the different categories of licensing we'd like to propose. So currently, all members may not be aware, but we only have one type of license. You're either licensed or you're not. So if you're licensed and all you want to do is compilation engagements and tax, well, you still have to meet the same standard as somebody who wants to be licensed to do auditing. So this is really limiting the number of members that we can train, because we can only train to be licensed, because we can only train to the number of audit hours that public practice members have available. So this will allow us to offer differentiated categories of licensing for members. And then I think even the group talked about earlier, members wanting to specialize. So if members want to specialize in only doing audit or only doing tax, that's very difficult for them to do under our current licensing regime because we only have the one license. So that's the second goal that we'd like to obtain with the change in our regulations. The third is insurance requirements, and again, this pertains to those in public practice, but currently, if members in public practice have insurance, although they are required to advise CPAPEI if they change or cancel their insurance, that doesn't always happen, and so what we would like to do is have a requirement for an endorsement on their insurance policies so that the endorsement requires the insurer to advise CPAPEI if there's a cancellation or change in a member's insurance policy. Also, in order to make it more equitable for the members carrying insurance, we want defense costs to be included in the insurance so that currently now you can have $1 million of coverage, but sometimes the million includes defense costs, sometimes it doesn't. And this will put all the members in public practice on a level playing field when it comes to their insurance policies. Item number 4, so this is actually quite a controversial in some ways because currently the way our regulation is written for continuing professional development is the wording is that all members shall obtain 120 hours of professional development over 3 years. So that's all members. So if you're retired, if you followed this regulation, we'd be requiring retired members to continue to have continuing professional development. We also would be requiring members that are on a medical leave, would be requiring members on paternity leave, whatever. So it just doesn't really work well with the way we want to be able to operate, and there are legitimate reasons why a member may not be required to have CPD for a particular year and want to defer that while they're off on a leave for whatever reasons. And certainly we don't think that retired members would be required to be taking professional development if they're fully retired. So that's actually quite a big one, and we'd really like to get that changed. And then number 5, I think someone mentioned earlier, or I think Chad did, about our ethics requirement. So currently we have a policy, the board policy on 4 hours of ethics in a 3-year rolling cycle, but we'd like to actually have this written into our regulations so that it is more enforceable. So those are the changes that we've proposed to government, and we just want to make sure that members are aware of the changes. And certainly if government agrees to those changes and those changes are made to our regulations, we will be advising members when that actually happens. But I don't want it to be a surprise to members when the changes come out. So we just want to create some awareness with you today to make sure you understand what it is that we're proposing and why. Colin? It's really in the hands of government. We've given our package to government. It is a new government, so they probably have a lot on their agenda in terms of their own initiatives. So we'll be trying to work with them to work into whatever work they already have that they're doing to be able to do this for us. We did speak with one of the policy writers, and I mean, he's hopeful that they'll get to it, but there's no guarantee for us as to when they will actually do it. Soon as possible would be ideal for us. We've done all the work that we can do on our end, so we're just really waiting on government at this stage. So, is there any other questions on that? Great. Okay, Lisa. Are you in the next? Are you next on the script? Okay. I guess there were a couple other things I was going to mention that I didn't realize that. Number 1, the recognition awards. So I think Lisa alluded to our 3 FCPAs that were awarded. They would really be our fall of 2018 awardees. So this opens up again. Our recognition awards open up again this fall. They have to be in by October 31st. So we have 3 different award categories. One is early achievement, one is distinguished service, and the other is the fellow. So if you know of a member, a deserving member, please go to the website. The package is there for people to fill in. And yeah, nominations are being accepted, so hopefully you'll do that, and we'll have some deserving members that we can recognize at next year's ceremony. So the Career Connections, so in November 6th, we're having Career Connections at UPEI, and it's almost like a speed dating for, I'm going to liken it to speed dating, but for employers and students. And what we're really hoping to see at this is a lot of members in industry who can represent their employer at this kind of event. We're really trying to broaden the base of members training in industry. So to date, we've had great uptake on members or students training with firms in public practice and firms and in government, but we are really trying to get more industry training spaces. So that's what this event is focused on. Any business can go, whether it's public practice or government, but we'd really like to see members support us by having more employers from industry present at the event. We will never be able to achieve more students training in industry if we don't have industry represented at events like this. So we would really, really encourage members who have the ability to, you know, take a request from their employer, or if they have the decision maker at the employer, to be able to commit to coming to an event like this, but we would really encourage you to do that. If you want more information on it, please just contact the office and we can certainly help you with that. And this is actually Leanne's plug. I think she put this in here, but she just wants to encourage everybody. Our PD seminars are October 28th to November 8th. Everything's on our website, and we have some online and audio web podcasts that will be coming up. They're not posted just yet, but the booklet for all the in-person courses is available on the website. So we won't be able to make our budget if you don't come to the sessions. So hopefully everybody will want to make sure we make our budget this year and sign up for our courses. I think there's an early bird discount too. Leanne, what's the date of the cutoff on the early bird discount? October 11th, so great. So you still have some time to get the early bird discount if you register. And I think that's everything, so I'm going to turn it back to you.
Any questions for Tanya? Tanya, thanks so much. And Leanne, on behalf of the profession, we'd like to thank you for all the work that you do too. Very much appreciated. Are there any other items that members would like to raise for discussion? Thank you again for coming and supporting CPA Prince Edward Island, and I'd like to have a motion for adjournment. Thank you very much.